So, how exactly does a standard local political event transform into a cosmic battle between good and the evil? Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking some highly charged rhetoric from a recent Lake Point church gathering just to understand its internal logic. Now, to be completely clear, we are absolutely not taking sides here. We're just strictly and impartially mapping out exactly how a simple political moment gets systematically escalated into this massive theological narrative.
Right off the bat, the speaker grounds his entire worldview, and really this whole presentation, in this intense biblical quote. And this isn't just a throwaway line. By leading with this idea that the true battle is against spiritual forces in high places, he instantly raises the stakes. We aren't talking about standard civic politics anymore, folks. We're talking about an existential cosmic conflict.
All right, moving on to Section 1, Context of the Gathering.
Before the heavy theology takes over, let's just look at the actual physical event he uses to launch this whole narrative. We have a political figure, referred to in the source as Mamdani, attending an Islamic prayer gathering, or Jumu'ah. The pastor is very careful to point out that this politician is actively seeking further office. So right away, the stage is set, right? It's a direct intersection of a public religious gathering and a political campaign.
And this perfectly highlights the politician's positional authority. He states that he's the first Muslim mayor in our city's history and that this is his first Jumu'ah in that new position. The pastor really wants the congregation to zero in on the fact that this isn't just a regular citizen sitting in the crowd. This is a newly empowered official celebrating a historic milestone. And that authority, it's an absolutely crucial building block for what comes next.
Which brings us to Section 2, the prayer and translation.
Now here is where things get really intense. The pastor asks his congregation to read closely, a very specific, very severe English translation of the prayer. He tells them the prayer calls for the killing of the infidels, which he defines as non-believers and non-Muslims, by the sword. Now, whether that translation is up for debate outside this room or not, within the context of this specific rhetoric, it is presented to the audience as absolute, indisputable fact.
So, this brings us to the absolute core pivot point of his argument. On one hand, you have the mayor of the largest, most influential city in the United States. On the other hand, you have the pastor's assertion that an imam is publicly praying for the killing of non-Muslims. The pastor explicitly argues that simply by being present, the mayor is literally giving his blessing to this prayer. He's making a direct, logical link from physical presence to active endorsement.
Let's move into our final arc, Section 3, Framing Spiritual Warfare.
To really wrap our heads around how the pastor reaches his ultimate conclusion, we have to look at how he defines spiritual warfare. He tells his audience they need to be wise and recognize that this kind of warfare doesn't just happen on a personal, individual level. No, he scales it way up. He takes a religious concept that is normally meant for personal struggles and applies it directly to societal, municipal politics. It's a fascinating shift in scope.
Let's actually break down that progression step by step, using the pastor's own framework. First, he acknowledges that yes, this occurs on an individual level. Second, he scales it up to a societal level, which is exactly where that political clip comes into play. Third, he reminds his audience that this battle is fought against principalities and powers. Notice how that ties right back to the biblical quote we started with? It's all connected. And finally, the ultimate threat. He claims that this intersection, a political endorsement mixed with what he defines as evil forces, is exactly how you might destroy a largely Christian nation. He has literally taken a short clip from a city prayer gathering and step by step escalated it into a full-blown existential threat to the entire country.
Throughout this explainer, we've watched how a single political event gets stripped down, translated in a highly specific way, and then completely rebuilt using a framework of spiritual warfare. It really goes to show that rhetoric isn't just about raw facts, is it? It's about the lens those facts are filtered through. So I'll leave you with this. How does applying a strict theological lens fundamentally alter our interpretation of everyday politics? It's a pretty profound question about how leaders shape narratives, and it is exactly what I want you to walk away pondering today.